Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Hi guys, hi G, hi Darla. That taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. I thought I could keep it together, but I can't. I can't keep it together today. Hey, Catherine. Sorry, guys. I knew I was gonna cry, so I didn't wear any makeup, just a little lipstick. You know, I feel things very deeply. I am an emotional soul. I'm not a dramatic person, although maybe some people would disagree with that, but I know, Catherine. I think so much about what's going on in my country, our country, those of you watching who are also Americans, and even the world. So much hate, and so much bitterness, and at the same time, also so much love. Hi, Linda. So I know you are, Catherine. So here I am. I traveled all the way. I went from South Florida to Alabama. And from Alabama, I went to West Virginia. And from West Virginia, I showed up here, Butler County, Pennsylvania. My old stomping grounds. I was raised right down the street, went to high school here. Not Butler County, I'm really an Allegheny County girl, but when I wrote for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and I was with that organization for 18, well, not really with the organization, I've always been a freelance writer. So I was never like gainfully employed by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, but I certainly wrote thousands of articles for that newspaper, especially the North section of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. For those of you who might remember, that's what I did. It seems like a lifetime ago. And yet I show up here in Butler and they didn't forget me. In fact, I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming, warm reunion. You know, I do come here pretty much every year because you know, I have very dear friends, and the house I stay in here is one of my best friends, and you know, it's important to visit your friends. You know, I talk a lot about being homeless, but when I say homeless, I mean it in the best of terms, as in I don't have a regular home. But you know what? That's okay. Hi, Audrey. Because I could not have a regular home when I am traveling all the time. And Audrey, I'm so sorry, but we lost little Muffin in January. Sorry, you know, I see that and I'm just, there's a lot to be emotional about today. And I've certainly lost a lot in my life. But at the same time, I gained freedom to not have to worry anymore about Ray and not have to worry anymore about Muffin, because I know they're safe. I know that God has a hold of them and they're up there and they're together and they're waiting for me someday. Not today. And I hope not tomorrow. But I mean, whatever the Lord brings, I'll take it, because I just follow his path. So yes, they're fake tears. See how fake they are, Brian? They're super fake. Come on. Seriously, anyway, Brian clearly doesn't know me. Yeah, thank you for retracting that, loser. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to call you names. Yeah, I get a little snarky and angry sometimes, and people come and you know, try to disparage me. And I guess they're just jealous, or they just don't have any faith. I don't know. Yeah. So I apologize for calling you a loser, Brian, because I don't know you at all. I just know that if you come on my page and accuse me of deceiving people, well, that's really not fair. Because I never try to mislead anybody. That's certainly not my intention. In fact, I want people to feel safe on the Beach Report. And that's why I have all these mods on here, because yeah, Linda cries at Hallmark commercials, so do I, Linda. But anyway, that's why I have my mods. They're protecting me and each other, because like I said, this is a safe space. And yes, the trolls come on, the bots, the whatever you are, I don't know, people who, keyboard warriors who want to come on and make other people feel badly. It's not possible. It's not possible, because I don't believe anything you say, okay? I trust myself, I trust my Lord, and I trust my followers. Anyhow, we're getting off topic here. So, I came to Butler this week with the intention of honoring not just the fact that President Trump didn't get killed that day, but the fact that Comperatore did. And he was a very important part of this community. Good job, Donna. And I didn't know him personally, and a lot of people didn't know him personally, but a lot of people benefited from Corey's abilities. He was the chief he was a volunteer firefighter, and he was the chief in Buffalo Township. And that's why this weekend, there's a statue that was made, and I actually met the man who made the statue. His name is Chris Tomko, very, very talented artist. And he told me that the statue was 3D printed with sand. Isn't that weird? It's so crazy, but it's so beautiful. It's the jacket of Corey's jacket, you know, a firefighter's jacket. Hi, Leo. And his helmet. And Chris told me that the reason that he designed it like that was because he saw President Trump on at the RNC right after he had been shot, and he had Corey's jacket and his helmet there, and he said he saw President Trump like hugging and he kissed the helmet. And so Chris felt inspired to make that statue. You guys, I got such amazing interviews, and no, I didn't record all of them, or really very many of them, because it's hard, you know, you're just talking to people. And yeah, I'm a journalist, and I'm always like, all right, no, it's connected. But, you know, sometimes I'm just gonna have to remember what was said, because I learned a lot of things in this past week, and I heard a lot of testimonial from people who were at the rally and even people who weren't. But those who were there, they were deeply, deeply traumatized. And I was hanging out with people who were like right behind President Trump. And I got to see Vince Fusca again. Oh my gosh, Vincent Fusca is the one person who stood out at the Trump rally. Let me see if I can find a picture of that. But you guys, you know who he is. He's the one with the hat, and everyone was like, wow, he doesn't seem fazed by this at all. So I asked him, hey Vince, what were you thinking about right before President Trump got shot? Like, what were you doing? What was going through your mind? And he said, in all honesty, he had a flag that he wanted to wave, or that he was waving earlier that day, and that he was thinking about, should I get my flag out and wave it? That's what he was thinking about at that time. And that's when the shots rang out. And you do see in his face that he's just bewildered. He's just bewildered. And I met Vincent many years ago, so long ago that he didn't even remember who I was until I jogged his memory and reminded him. Then he was like, oh yeah. I mean, he even took me to dinner with some of my friends. So it wasn't like it was just a hello, you know. But anyway, he did eventually remember who I was. I appreciate you, Leo. Definitely appreciate you, my brother. And I'm trying to find the picture of, oh wait, I'm just silly. I'm sure it's on my Facebook. Let's see. I've got a kind of a bad connection here right now. Can you guys hear me and see me even though I am on Wi-Fi, but sometimes it just doesn't always work out. And my other phone here is acting really slow. So anyway, oh, there we go. I found it. Okay, so I'm sure you guys remember this guy, right? Good old Vincent Fusca. Remember him? Right behind Trump at the rally. That dude. He's a mensch. Anyway, you know, there were rumors that he was JFK Jr. And people were like, God's JFK Jr. I'm like, it is not. It's Vincent Fusca. I hung out with the man. I can tell you 100% for sure, there is no possibility that he is JFK Jr. None whatsoever. Or that he has anything to do with any of that, okay? So I'm going to just put that to bed, okay? I know it goes around. When I posted his picture, a lot of people were like, is that John? I'm like, it is not. It is not. He is a real person. He's a good person. And he travels all over, especially Western Pennsylvania, but I don't know if he even travels the country. He's got this Trump mobile. Wait, I had a picture of that too, but I can't show that to you now. I want to show you another picture that meant a lot to me that I got to take yesterday. Right. Well, Leo, definitely Vincent Fusca is not a disguise. He's a real person. Everything about him is real. I was like right there. I could have pinched him if I wanted to. And there's no fakeness about Vincent Fusca. I guarantee it. Okay? All right. So here I'm going to show you the picture that means the most to me from this weekend. Because when I found out that Comperatore had died, I was like, I was in shock, really, that President Trump survived, but this amazing man died. Why would I like Joe Hassan? I'm not stupid. Anyway, look at this. That's me. That's Helen Comperatore. That's his widow. And I thought I might get an interview with her, but when the time came, you know, she was so busy and I couldn't put that on her. But really, more than an interview, what I really wanted was to give Helen a hug. To give Helen a hug from not just me, but from the entire country. And I was able to do that. And I told her, I'm like, I really came to hug you. She's so gracious. And she's like, absolutely. And I gave her the biggest hug from you guys. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back into the reason that I'm doing this show. Basically to honor a year ago today when the deep state tried to end President Trump's life in the most despicable, heinous, right in your face way. And, you know, some people are like, I don't know. I think about 9/11, and I think about how they wanted us all to see that second plane go into the Twin Towers. And I also feel like this was done the way it was, with CNN there with a high-powered camera that could catch the fastest things. Why would they do that? Anyway, I wanted to honor what happened that day as a miracle, and to point out that Jesus himself escaped many assassination attempts, just like President Trump. Now, I am not saying that President Trump is Jesus. I'm not saying that at all. I don't worship him like he's Jesus or God or anything. I just really appreciate him. And I do believe that he was consecrated by the Lord. And that's why you'll see the photo that I put for this live is a flag that was flying over Butler, the Butler rally at the Butler Farm Show exactly 1 year ago, and it got tangled up. And it looked exactly like an angel. And everyone saw it. And it took them a while to fix it, but everyone saw it. So thank you, Hassan. So I'm going to read to you some stuff I found about assassination attempts on the Son of God. So, sorry, Park, we speak English here. So, Hassan, you know, don't be rude, please. We're not here to be rude about President Trump, and you will be taken off of this page if you talk like that. Actually, I think we should just take you off right now. So, bye-bye. I don't stand for it. It's not right. It's not fair. And I've just spent the entire past week surrounded by people who just want peace. And they don't want to fight. And they don't want to be destroyed by anybody. Yes, so rude, exactly, Donna. And they don't want to be confronted by rude people who, I call it the cult of death. They say I'm in a cult. Yeah, well, you want to call MAGA a cult, and I'm totally in the cult. Yes, I am 100% make America great again. Hey, Karen, you got it. And if that's my cult, then that's my cult. I'm not in the cult that wants to kill people. I'm not in the cult that wants to hurt people. I'm not in the cult that wants to hate people. And I'm not saying that I love these people that are doing this, but I'm trying to turn the other cheek. I'm not very successful at it because it's horrible. But you're right, Darla. The world needs peace. And we need it now. We need it right now. Because that beautiful woman, this beautiful woman, Helen, President Trump talks to her every week. Like, he doesn't have enough to do. He makes sure that this woman and her two precious daughters are protected, and they actually have full security detail. So if you have any thoughts of hurting them, I would think twice about that. Unfortunately, the reason that they have this security detail is because of people who would do them harm. Simply because her husband took a bullet for Trump. Yes, Linda, I love you, Linda. Okay, so I'm gonna read you a list of times when Jesus was almost assassinated. However, he wasn't until he was, but the attempts are reminders of God's sovereignty and divine timing. Look at my wrist. You see, you can barely faintly see it. It's a little, I used to wear a watch. I don't wear a watch anymore. I haven't worn a watch in like a year? Because I'm not on regular time anymore. I'm on God's time. And God's time is always perfect, like amazing. I wanted to go to Butler today, but I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see what it looks like outside here. I'm in my friend's situation room, but you can see it's looking pretty black outside. You know, that opposed to that. Okay, that's blue skies and that's black clouds. So you can see that storms are brewing. And my friends were like, Jill, we really don't want you to go to Butler by yourself and drive in a storm. And I'm going to second that because, you know, I'm used to Florida's straight, even roads, even though, you know, sometimes they're crazy people on them. But the roads through Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, is like a roller coaster, like a crazy roller coaster. And yeah, it's a little scary for me to drive. So, but I do it. Oh, not more rain in Texas, Linda. We all got to pray for Texas too. All right, now I'm really going to talk about the times that Jesus was almost assassinated. The synagogue in Nazareth. After reading from the scripture and preaching in the synagogue in Nazareth, the people were infuriated by his message, as recorded in the Gospel of Luke. And they all day in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath, and rose up and thrust him out of the city, and led him unto the brow of the hill whereon their city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. But he, passing through the midst of them, went his way. That was from Luke 4:28. Number 2. Theological dispute in the temple. During a heated theological dispute between Jesus and the Jews in the temple area, his adversaries attempted to stone him. However, Jesus miraculously evaded their grasp. According to John 8:59, then they took up stones to cast at him. But Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. Number 3, at the Feast of the Dedication, Jesus was walking in the temple on the portico of Solomon. During a discussion with the Jews, he declared, this is quoted, I am my Father are one. John 10:30. This statement incited the Jews to pick up stones to stone him. Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. John 10:31. Despite their hostility, Jesus once again went on his merry way. According to John 10:39, therefore they sought again to take him, but he escaped out of their hand. Number 4, plot after raising Lazarus. After Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, the chief priests and Pharisees convened in Sanhedrin and plotted to kill him. According to John 11:53-54, then from that day forth, they took counsel together to put him to death. Jesus therefore walked no more openly among the Jews, but went thence unto a country near to the wilderness, into a city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. So, Tomani, I might just get rid of you because we really don't care what you're eating. It's not for this show. Okay, so here's a reflection on those times when they tried to stone and dispose of the Son of God. These instances of Jesus escaping assassination are powerful reminders that guess who's in control? That's right. And he has the best timing ever. And in the life and mission of his only son, he knew what he was doing. Despite the opposition and the threats that Jesus faced, he was unwavering in his mission to fulfill the will of his Father, our Father. What do we learn from this? Well, divine protection. Just as Jesus was protected until his appointed time, so are we. We are encouraged to trust in his timing and sovereignty in our lives. And this is why I don't wear a watch, because I'm not on my time, I'm on his time. We also get from this courage and faithfulness. Jesus remained faithful and courageous in the face of incredible threats and opposition. We are called to stand firm in our faith, even when we face trials and persecution. And let's talk about God's timing one more time, because I can't stress it enough. But everything happens according to his perfect timing. Jesus' life and ministry unfolded according to God's divine plan. And our lives are also in his hands. Now I feel like singing. Please join me. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. So one last reminder is that despite the attempts on his life, Jesus remained focused on his mission. This is the most important takeaway, I think. As followers of Christ, we are called to stay focused on our mission, which is to spread the gospel and live in our faith. And that's what I do. I live in faith, I walk in faith, and all these people who come on and they try to say nasty things to me or trying to make me feel bad or, to disparage the way I look or talk or everything, I can't be bothered by it. I can't let it get me down, because I have faith that everything that's happening right now is for a reason. Really reminded of that this morning. I went out to brunch with my friends and I wasn't expecting anything. And you know what? You can't expect things. It's really hard to live that way with expectations, because I did expect something to happen today. I thought I was going to meet President Trump. Honestly, I really did. There was supposed to be an event today. Where's Jamie Crow when you need her? Because Jamie Crow told me there was an event today, and I told everyone I was coming to Butler and I was going to go to that event that literally nobody knew about except for, to me, Jamie Crow, which is pretty cool. Just shows you how dialed in some of my followers are, and then they help me. Anyway, Jamie told me to come here. Jamie reminded me told me that something was gonna happen today. And I didn't know if it was true. I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't found anything on X or Facebook or any social media, so I didn't know. But I came anyway. I walked in faith. And when I got here, my friends that I stay with are incredibly helpful. Like, they are movers and shakers in this community. And they were able to hook me up with some pretty influential people. And because of that, I was able to get an invitation to the special event that was supposed to be held today, which, wow, I was like, wow, I got in, I got the invite. Unfortunately, that event was canceled. I don't know why. In fact, good old Jamie Crow, she called me this afternoon, right before it should have happened, and she's like, I am so sorry. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, the event, it didn't happen. Got canceled. And I was like, how do you know that? She's like, girl, I'm the one who told you about it. Okay, Jamie, thank you. No, she was right. And I knew Jamie told me about it, but I didn't realize just like how much this girl seems to know. She's very dialed in. So, he was in Kerrville, Texas on Friday. Wow, he's everywhere. Anyway, Jamie called me to commiserate. because she always believed I was going. I didn't know if I was going, but Jamie was like, you know, you're going to this. Anyway, the event was canceled. No one knows why. Some other weird things are going on here, like Pennsylvania's 911 dispatch has been not working for the past couple of days, and that's pretty unnerving. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know what's going on. However, I was a little disappointed. So we went out for brunch and we sat down in a booth in a diner that I'd never been to before. And I don't really go out to eat very much. Honestly, I don't really trust restaurants. That's just me. I'm very careful about what I put in my temple. Well, for the most part. Anyway, we're sitting there, and like there was some item my friends had ordered and they were out of it. I don't know, prompted the owner to come over and say sorry or whatever, you know, or just to meet us. I'm not sure if he came over to say sorry or why he came over, other than the fact that it's a new restaurant, and this guy wanted to come say hi, you know, and he said hi to the right people for sure. However, as I heard him talking about his 7 children, some of whom are adopted, this is their only business, their first restaurant, a diner. They want to really focus on fresh food served in the diner, and to, you know, have a family business run by their amazing family of 7 children, some of whom were adopted. Now, I'm hearing all this and I'm like, oh, cool, new family restaurant. You know me, I love family businesses. I think that we should all give our money to our neighbors and our friends who are doing businesses for themselves that they create, and not the big box, not the corporatocracy. I prefer to keep the money in the family, if you will. And also, I'd rather eat in a restaurant where the people serving the food have a stake in it. Like it's their restaurant, you know? They're not just working there for low wages, hoping to get tips, hoping to make it work for their finances or whatever, you know, because restauranting is kind of like slave labor situation. So, you know what, Darla? They don't have to hit the like button. I see 11 likes and only 10 people, so I'm going to say y'all did your job. So thank you. Thank you very much. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I would urge you to do that as well. However, here's what happened. I hear this about the family-run business, right? And I want to help because, you know, I love that. So I'm like, hey, you know, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a Facebook influencer, and I would love to, you know, focus on you guys and give you a shout out and everyone know that your Reuben's delicious and your coffee's really good too. So he was like, that's great. And then the more we talked to this man, the more I started to realize that there were no coincidences. And then his wife showed up. And I told them both that I'll be back in this area next month at the end of August, because I've already scheduled a book signing here at the Butler County, Cranberry Township, which is in Butler County, by the way, the Cranberry Township Library. And I've spoke there when my first book was published, and they treated me very well. So I will be back talking about my new book, which, as y'all know, is about my adoption. And it's called Do You Think About Me on My Birthday? Birthday being the operative word. Oh my gosh, you guys won't believe everything that happened. Okay, so I'm talking to this woman, Helene, and she's like, you know, I work with foster families and like adoption, like everything. She said, all the stuff, the things that I want my book to not just to be about, but to have resources to, you know, maybe be able to give back to these people, like some proceeds can go to help these organizations or something. I want to do my part, you know. I'm an adoptee. And it's a very special thing to be, to grow up with parents who didn't give birth to you, virtual strangers raising you. You know, it's a whole life experience, and us adopted kids, and whether you were adopted from birth like I was, or when you were young, or you know, and there are even people who get adopted in their old age, you know, like 20-year-olds and stuff. It's crazy. But adoption, I think, affects everybody, whether or not it was you who was adopted, but you absolutely must know somebody who was in this position. So anyway, she starts talking about this and I start crying because that's my litmus test as a journalist. Whenever all of a sudden in my little brain, I'm like, this is a really good story. This is a situation that I need to jump on right now. I cry. That's how I know it's good. I'm not always 100% with the best stories, but the best stories make me cry the hardest. And I'm like, tears rolling down my face. I'm so grateful to God that I'm in this restaurant at this time. And then something really amazing happened. And I didn't even understand the magnitude of it until later. So as you know, my book is called Do You Think About Me on My Birthday, right? Well, no, I only have, this is my first book, by the way, like it was yesterday. But I don't know what I did with my other book. Anyway. So we're sitting there, you know, finishing up our food. And all of a sudden, from the kitchen, Benny, the owner, he comes out and he announces to everybody that one of the guys in the back has a birthday. And he has the whole restaurant, everyone started singing happy birthday to this kid who is like literally like so embarrassed. And he had a birthday cake, and they're like, birthday cake for everybody, and offered everyone in the restaurant a piece of birthday cake, and it was really amazing. I got home later and I'm like, wow, you know, first of all, just the fact that I met these people, and yes, I talked to them about having an event for my book, because their restaurant is actually going to be remodeled and refurbished in the middle of August, so they should be ready right in time for me to return and do my book signing here. And I would like to have a kind of a kickoff party celebration, something with them at the diner, which is called Benny's 9 here in Cranberry Township. So I know, right, JF, I like cake. So shouldn't eat cake, but I do like it. And I was offered a piece and I graciously said yes. And I will let you know that I just had a little tiny taste of it. I did not eat the whole thing because, man, sugar and me, it's not good. Sugar's not good. But you know, you can have one little bite. It won't hurt you for the most part. Anyway, it was enough for me. So that was good. But really, you know, that I would meet these people and everything. And my friends are like, and I'm, you know, crying and all excited and flipping out. My friends are like, girl, you are always surprised when God works in your life. But he works in your life like every day, like something else happens every single day. And you are always amazed by it. You always react with such over the top excitement and amazement. And I'm like, well, it's true. I am. It's you know, God surprises me every time. He works in my life in these ways that I never expect. Walk in faith. So there's all these people, you know, oh, you say you're homeless, you know, but you're not living in the street, you know, and it's like, they totally misunderstand what it is to be without a home. So I'm thinking maybe I have to change that word or something to make it a little more palatable for those who don't understand that someone like me, you know, when my husband died, and it's not like I saw, Cynthia Lucas says, Andrew Jackson died at home 2 days ago. Like, you losing a husband and our pets. This is sad. Yeah. Well, yes. Yes, we lose people. However, I feel like they're always in our lives, even if they're not with us. You know, I'm going on 3 years without Ray. And every day, I kind of learn something new about myself and about grief and about memory and about love, about life. Okay, see you later, Linda. You're reading about Cher. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I know you read my book. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a little quick little review there, Linda, let everyone know how much you do like that, like it was yesterday, and do you think about me on my birthday, because you are one of my readers. Hey, there's Debs. Hey, Debs, good to see you. So, anyway, what was I talking about? The fact that I remain surprised that I always look at these things in my life and the way that it turns out perfectly every time. It's because I walk in faith. It's because I trust. It's because I always expect the best, but at the same time, I don't expect anything. And it's hard sometimes to just, it's hard sometimes to not expect anything, to not be like, ooh, I wonder if this is gonna be great, or I'm so looking forward to this, that, or the other thing. You kind of have to try not to do that. I mean, you can be excited for the future, but you just really don't know what the future holds. Because good or bad or neutral could be anything, so for instance, back to today's little epic meeting in the restaurant. If we had left earlier, which we intended to, but we didn't, then we would not have been there when that birthday cake thing happened. It's all this timing, or maybe Benny's wife wouldn't have been there when we were there. There's so many little different moving parts that he has full control of, and you don't have any. So that's why I walk in faith. And I do not have a regular home. I do not live any one place all the time. I can't. I'm being called everywhere. I feel like, I don't really belong anywhere, because I belong everywhere. And I felt that way for a very long time. But it's just been the past several years since my husband passed away, and I more or less lost a lot of things. But you don't need a lot of things. What you need is faith. What you need is great relationships. And it's because of the great relationships that I've made throughout my entire life as the reason that you're never going to find me living in the streets. You're never going to find me, like weirded out on crazy drugs and acting like a nut. And, and that's not that all people who are homeless act that way, but a lot of them have mental health issues, and they are on drugs, and they have basically alienated everyone in their lives to the point that they have nobody to rely on when they're in trouble. And that comes from addiction. Addiction causes people to lie and to mislead, and just addiction is just so awful. You cannot rely on anything or anyone except the Lord. So if you are addicted to something, I suggest you find a way through faith to turn that addiction into your love for Jesus. I'm not worried about never having a roof over my head, because I have so many people who love me, and I can go anywhere that I want, and I am welcome everywhere. And I'm a really good house guest too. Why else would I be invited to people's homes all the time? I never stay anywhere for very long. And sometimes it's a job. Hi, Kokomos. Sometimes it's a job, like, I dog sit and a house sit and do stuff like that, and that's pretty cool. Sometimes I go on a vacation with somebody and there's a hotel involved. It doesn't matter. I always have somewhere to go because of my faith. I don't worry about, not like, where am I going to sleep tonight? What am I going to do? I don't worry about that because I have faith. Have you ever lived in full faith? It's not easy. But once you do and you test it out and it keeps rolling and your life keeps better and better, I miss my husband and my dog so, so very much. However, now I am able to really walk in faith because with them, I had little fears and worries, you know, like having a dog, you're really not able to go anywhere you want. Who is this? Oh, right, Amber. Oh, yeah, Thomas Crooks, absolutely. He was a MAGA. Yeah, okay, whatever. You just keep telling yourself that, okay? I don't think you know the truth or anything, so. Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, we MAGAs, we're all about harming the president. You know, like really, Amber, just think a little bit, okay? And honestly, I don't know if I should go down this certain rabbit hole, but I have a lot of questions about what happened on J13. And I'm gonna let you do your own research. I'm not even gonna show you the picture that I wanna show you because I might get tossed off. However, there's a picture out there, and it's a picture of the man who shot the president and was killed and was on that roof. And y'all saw it, and there's blood and all sorts of gore and everything. That picture, if you put it next to Thomas Crooks, I don't really think it looks like him. But there is another man that if you put that picture next to him, it looks exactly like him. And that man's name is Maxwell Yerick, Yearick. So check out the name, look at the pictures for yourself. I'm not gonna lead you down that rabbit hole. Well, I kind of did, but I'm not gonna show the picture. I want you to look at it for yourself. And you tell me what you think. I have a feeling that like the JFK shooting, Thomas Crooks might have just been a patsy. And he might not have done it at all. Sure, he might have been up there with a gun. No, I don't know. I don't think he was, because the guy who was killed doesn't look like Thomas Crooks to me. So, oh boy, more people to get rid of. Bye-bye. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to just put that out there, see what you guys think. Anyway, I'm going to say ciao for now. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Beach Report. I am in Butler County. I'm not up at the Butler Farm Show. If that event was canceled, then maybe it's not safe to go there. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, yeah, pawn in the political system. I think you're right, Karen. All right, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and think a little bit about faith and unity and loving one another as brothers and sisters, which is what we are. All right, you guys, ciao for now.